gives this committee the power even to arrest the GMD of NNPC if it does not behave. And we have the will to exercise those powers. So that for once, people should know Nigeria cannot be. I want to quote President Tinubu himself. He said, no more excuses.
No more.
Whether on issues of security, issues of abuse of power, anybody who is mismanaging his own bit, we have a collective duty to bring the person to justice or bring justice to the person wherever he is.
To their claim, the 107 trillion cash call paid to JV partners in 2023. The committee is duty bound to reject this. Why the committee is rejecting this is that 103 trillion as accrued expenses. NNPC declared a revenue of 24 trillion naira between the year 2017 to 2022. The equivalent of which in dollars was $58 billion. And the same NNPC in 2023 alone claimed to have paid 103 trillion to their JV partners based on cash call. Two things here. One, cash call was abolished, so to say, if I may use that word, in 2026 by late President, but in 2016, sorry. Crude of 24 trillion. Now you are paying 103 trillion naira to your JV partners without telling us the quantum of crude that justified that payment. And how on earth can anybody give what he or she does not have? Where did NNPC get 103 trillion to have paid to its JV partners in only 1 year?
117 US dollars.
Sir?
$117 billion.
$117 billion. So as far as this committee is concerned, that figure 103 trillion is unacceptable, it's not justified, because cash call was stopped or abolished in 2016. And now in 2023, you are coming under the umbrella of cash call to say you had paid 103 trillion in just a year. So for that, this committee is not accepting that figure, and that 103 trillion must be returned to Treasury by NNPC, but that shall be concluded when NNPC appears here. At this point, the committee deems it pertinent to come public so that we keep the public abreast and for the public to know we have not just gone quiet. We've been studying and studying, brainstorming, so that when we face the public, we face them from angle of education, information, education, and enlightenment. That is on the 103 3 trillion. 107 trillion. The 107 trillion, which constitutes receivables by NNPC. Receivables here in accounting stands for assets. Expenses stand for liabilities. We have thrown light on the liability aspect of, or the liabilities aspect of it. Now the asset. NNPC claimed, and of course still claims, that this 107 receivables part of that figure was with some defunct banks. None of the banks was mentioned by NNPC. We don't know. NNPC, based on their annual financial statement, which is the Bible or the Quran that this committee is using to extract what we've been talking about. No bank was mentioned. Neither amount was mentioned. NNPC did not in any way and form communicate to this committee. Bank A that is defunct was holding on to amount X to justify this figure of 107. And for that, it is 107 is also not acceptable to the committee. And by the time you put the two figures together, this is what justifies the position of the committee as to saying that NNPC should and must account for 210 trillion. The second issue that the committee also finds it, deems it fit to come to the public on is the issue of subsidy. NNPC was charging, NAPIMS was charging subsidy on petroleum products, while NAPIMS was charging subsidy on crude, which is illegal. There is nowhere in the confines or the rules of engagement that subsidy was and is still, and I don't think shall, be allowed to be charged on crude oil. And then NAPIMS was charging between the year 2017 to 2021. NAPIMS was charging subsidy on crude, while NNPC was charging subsidy on other petroleum products. When I say other petroleum products here, refined petroleum products, kerosene, diesel, and what have you. And within the rules of engagement, there is nowhere that NNPC was allowed to charge subsidy on. And each of these, between the years in question, and the facts are there in their annual financial statement between 2017 to 2021. On the side of NAPIMS, if you go on to page 41, note 8, page 38, note 9, page 38, note 9, and page 39, note 9, will show you clearly from the audited financial statement of NNPC, of NAPIMS, where this subsidy was charged against the years in question on crude oil. And on the side of NNPC, on pages 59, note 8.1, page 58, note 8.1 as well, page 57, note 8.1, and page 56, note 8.1. You will see from the audited financial statement of NNPC where this subsidy was charged against a refined product. This is unacceptable. It is illegal, and so the committee is not also in acceptance of this. For the purpose of clarity, the committee finds it important today to come to you that is to the public, with just these two, and to say that if for any reason the present management of NNPC is having difficulty in garnering the wherewithal to provide acceptable answers to this committee, it is better NNPC comes up to it so that the committee will now find ways to subpoena the former officials of NNPC and NAPIMS, because these issues cannot be swept under the carpet. For NAPIMS in particular, NAPIMS is a department by extension of NNPC. So NAPIMS by law cannot maintain an independent account from that of NNPC. But from what we have, NAPIMS has been on record going by the annual financial statement of NNPC from 2017 to 2023 clearly shows NAPIMS as an independent entity, which of course by law it is not. And so, distinguished colleagues, at this point, I think unless any of the members has a comment to add to this, or further, additional information to bring the public up to date on this long-awaited issue, and within the shortest possible time, the management of NNPC, and as a result of what has just happened today, the magnanimity and understanding that this committee has always extended to NNPC to allow for representation is no more. At any point, this committee invites NNPC, the chief executive of NNPC, should and must appear before this committee. Wherever he is or will be, particularly if it is outside the country, he will be where he is only on the grounds of the fact that he is the chief executive of NNPC. If he was not appointed by President Oshiomhole Ahmed Tinubu, nobody would have called him. But if he's within here, and for some reasons, the #1 citizen of the country calls him or invites him or assigns him to do whatever, this committee can extend understanding. Otherwise, to be out of the country, I don't think is an excuse, will not be accepted by this committee anymore as an excuse. At this point, the next invitation of this committee to NNPC representation will not be accepted by the committee from the side of NNPC. NNPC team must always, should and must always be led by the chief executive of NNPC. One or two questions. And otherwise, before the questions, or if there are no questions, from what Senator Adams Oshiomhole said, this is a very dynamic and pragmatic administration, spearheaded by President Oshiomhole Ahmed Tinubu. And this government needs all the support. All hands should and must be on deck to support this administration. And in supporting the administration, whatever any citizen can do to see to availability of funds to be judiciously and effectively utilized by this administration to deliver the dividend and the goodies that the administration is targeted at should be done. We are here from this side of the divide to do everything possible within the confines of the rules of engagement to support the administration. To that and for that, this makes it important for these issues to be brought to closure.
That the okra tree can possibly be taller than who planted it. Like I said one time, there are not a few people see NNPC as behaving as if they are the country, Nigeria is their parastatal. And so they are above the country. Now my worry is not about the fact that, looking at the period of coverage, it doesn't come under the present GMD. Yeah. But the fact that the GMD is anxious to cover up the fraud suggests that he may also want to continue with business as usual. That is what troubles me. Because, like you rightly said, sir, being given the opportunity to come and explain what happened that you have inherited should be something you should do freely. But time and time again, the GMD is never going to come here. And those figures you mentioned, sir, about charging crude, subsidy on crude, and then NNPC go on to charge subsidy on refined product. It's not just a matter of law. That is, the real word for it is fraud, monumental fraud. And the amount involved is far more than what our president is struggling to borrow from foreign countries. If those monies were here, we don't go to borrow this kind of money. So just to thank you, Mr. Chairman, I think we are all in agreement with you. You know, we need to make it clear that the the current constitution, 1999 as amended, gives this committee the power even to arrest the GMD of NNPC if it does not behave. And we have the will to exercise those powers. So that for once, people should know Nigeria cannot be. I want to quote President Tinubu himself. He said, no more excuses. No more. Whether on issues of security, issues of abuse of power, anybody who is mismanaging his own bit, we have a collective duty to bring the person to justice or bring justice to the person wherever he is. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Having exhaustively reviewed the answer by NNPC, 107 trillion